Chapter 1: The Descent. As dawn's early light spilled over the horizon, casting long shadows across the road, I found myself driving away from Chicago. The city's skyline, a jagged silhouette against the awakening sky, had been both my crucible and my sanctuary, a place where my deepest sorrows and greatest joys intertwined. Yet, as it faded into the distance, my thoughts were clouded by the recent loss of my sister's newborn son, a stark reminder of life's delicate balance. My roots lay in the tough soil of Chicago Heights, a place where survival wasn't guaranteed, but fought for. The neighborhood was a battleground, where dreams were often the first casualties, crushed under the weight of street violence that claimed friends and futures with indiscriminate fury. It was in this tumultuous landscape that love found me. At 17, she was a beacon of light in the pervasive gloom. At 18, I was fiercely determined to defy the odds stacked against us. Our commitment to each other was our rebellion against a destiny that had written us off as failures. Our families saw it as youthful naivete, but for us, it was a declaration of hope. Our marriage became a saga of love battling adversity, a delicate weave of joyous moments and painful separations. Each chapter was a testament to our resilience, a dance of coming together and falling apart, as we navigated the complexities of a bond constantly tested by life's trials. The arrival of our first daughter, her very existence a miracle, marked a turning point. Faced with grim prognoses, she fought valiantly for life, a tiny emblem of hope amidst our ongoing storm, reinforcing the indomitable spirit of our fledgling family. The weight of our struggles in Chicago eventually led me to seek solace in a serene Wisconsin town, promising a blank slate for our battered hopes. This move represented more than a geographical shift. It was a pilgrimage towards peace and self-redefinition. Wisconsin beckoned as a realm of possibilities, a chance to start anew, far from the scars and battles of my past life. It offered a landscape where I could reconstruct my identity, unburdened by the failures and fractures of my previous existence. Here, amidst the tranquility, I plunged into bodybuilding and entrepreneurship, channels for my restless energy and ambition. My body's transformation and business ventures were both an escape and a challenge, a means to prove my worth in roles beyond those of a husband and father. Yet the chasms within my marriage only widened, revealing that external successes could not mend the foundational cracks. My efforts, meant to solidify our union, inadvertently magnified our disconnect. The disintegration of our marriage shattered more than just my personal life. It eroded the very foundation of my self-perception, confronting me with the harsh truth that some dreams remain unattainable regardless of effort. The pastoral beauty of Wisconsin, with its lush landscapes and meandering rivers, stood in sharp contrast to the turmoil within me. It was here, in the silence of nature, that I grappled with the remnants of a life that felt increasingly distant. My relationship with my children, once a source of unshakable pride, had become a complex web of silence and misunderstanding. The separation had taken its toll, leaving each child to navigate the fallout in their own way, their struggles a mirror to my own. My eldest daughter, who had once found refuge in the simple joys of soccer, now carried burdens far beyond her years. My other children, too, seemed lost in the wake of our family's fragmentation, their paths uncertain. In this new chapter, I sought to protect them from the specters that haunted me, hoping to spare them the heartaches that had been my constant shadows. Yet, even in this idyllic refuge, I was besieged by doubts about who I was and what I was meant to become. The freedom I had longed for felt both exhilarating and daunting. Success in my entrepreneurial endeavors felt empty without my family to share in the triumphs. Nights were laden with solitude, a reminder of the profound loss that lingered. It was during one such evening of introspection that I was drawn to Heavenly Brews, a quaint cafe perched by the river's edge. Its welcoming light seemed to offer a haven from the encroaching darkness of my thoughts. The cafe, with its handful of patrons, held an air of timeless tranquility. Among them, an elderly gentleman caught my attention, his aura of wisdom and peace palpable even from a distance. As I neared, his gaze met mine, piercing through the layers of my turmoil. Chapter 2. Echoes of the Past. In the heart of the city, nestled among the towering skyscrapers, lay a verdant oasis, a park that served as a sanctuary for those without a home. The park, with its sprawling lawns and ancient trees, harbored secrets and stories of the city's homeless, their lives intertwined with its shadows. Charles, a grizzled veteran with a steely gaze, claimed his spot under a gnarled oak beside a weathered garbage can that held treasures only he could appreciate. His rough hands, calloused from years of hardship, clutched a frayed blanket, his only shield against the unforgiving nights. The park, under the silver glow of the moon, echoed with the sounds of the city, distant sirens, the rustle of leaves, and the soft murmur of conversations. But tonight, a discordant note shattered the tranquility. "Stay back! This is my spot!" Charles's voice, thick with anger, cut through the night. He stood, his posture defensive, as he confronted another homeless man who dared to encroach upon his territory. The second man, wiry and quick-eyed, stood his ground. "It's nobody's spot, old man," he shot back, his voice defiant. From a nearby bench, a woman's voice, weary and exasperated, tried to intervene. "Charles, enough! This isn't worth it! You'll only get hurt!" But their words were lost in the escalating tension. The argument spiraled, voices rising, until a bottle, flung in anger, shattered against the tree, its shards glittering like stars on the ground. Amidst this chaos, a figure watched silently, the mysterious homeless man. His presence was like a calm in the storm, his eyes holding a depth that seemed to transcend the petty squabbles of the street. That night, as Charles lay under his tree, a vivid dream overtook him. His son, lost to him years ago, appeared before him, a vision of light and peace. "Dad, it's okay. We love you. It wasn't your fault." His son's voice, gentle and forgiving, soothed the jagged edges of his soul. Tears welled in Charles's eyes, reflecting the moonlight, as his face, usually marred by frowns and lines of worry, softened in wonder. In the dream, the mysterious man beckoned to him. "Follow me, brother," he whispered, his voice a melody of hope. Charles found himself walking through a tapestry of memories, each a poignant reminder of love and loss. His wife and daughter appeared, their faces alight with forgiveness and longing. "We miss you. But you need to live. For us." His wife's words, imbued with love, reached into the deepest corners of his heart. Awakening from the dream, Charles felt a transformation within. The burden of guilt that had weighed him down seemed to lift, replaced by a lightness of being. "Was it you? In my dream?" Charles approached the mysterious man the next day, his voice tinged with awe. The man simply touched his shoulder, a silent affirmation, and then walked away, his steps soundless on the dew-kissed grass. In the days that followed, Charles found a new purpose. Sober and hopeful, he sought to share his newfound haven with the mysterious man. "There's a place for food and shelter. Come with—" Charles turned, only to find the man had vanished, his presence leaving a warmth in the air that lingered like a whispered promise. The early morning bustle at Heavenly Brews Diner was just beginning as the first rays of dawn kissed the city. Tina and Barbara, the waitresses, were deep in conversation, their voices a symphony of the city's rhythm. "Another day, another dollar," Barbara quipped, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Tina nodded, her eyes twinkling. "Yeah, left here around 10:15 last night. Busy as ever." Their banter was interrupted by the arrival of Frank, a regular, his footsteps a familiar echo in the diner. "He's always the first one here," Tina remarked, expertly pouring a cup of coffee for him. "And you know he's here for his special soup." As they chatted, the door swung open again, admitting a disheveled figure. The familiar face of the local homeless man, his appearance unkempt, yet his eyes held a depth that seemed out of place amidst his ragged exterior. Despite his appearance and the odor that accompanied him, Tina always treated him with kindness. Occasionally, she even covered the cost of his meal, her heart touched by his silent dignity. In the bustling kitchen of Heavenly Brews, Tina and Barbara shared a light-hearted exchange. "You see that plant by the window? It's come back to life ever since he started coming here," Tina remarked, her eyes glinting with amusement. Barbara raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "Really? That plant was as good as dead. What's so special about this guy?" Tina's smile widened. "I don't know, Barb, but I've never had better tips than when he's around. He's like a charm." Barbara teased, her voice laced with humor. "Maybe he's an angel in disguise." Tina laughed, the sound bright and carefree. "Well, if he is, I wish he'd spread some of that luck my way." Returning to the window, Tina placed a steaming meal before the homeless man, her demeanor warm and inviting. "Here you go. A breakfast treat on the house. You've been bringing us good fortune, you know," she said, her voice playful. The man looked up, gratitude shining in his eyes. Yet he remained silent. Tina winked at him. "One of these days, you'll have to tell me your name. Maybe even say thanks." As she walked away, Tina paused, her gaze drawn to the once withered plant now blooming with life. She turned back to the mysterious man, her expression one of wonder. "Did you see this? That plant was nearly dead, and now look at it. You really are something special, aren't you?" she mused, her voice filled with amazement. The man simply smiled softly, a quiet acknowledgement of the small miracle that unfolded by the window. In the bustling cafe of Heavenly Brews, the clatter of dishes and murmured conversations filled the air. Barbara, busy in the kitchen, let out a curse as she accidentally burned herself on a scalding plate. "Damn it! These plates are too hot. They need to cool down before we serve them," she exclaimed, her voice tinged with exasperation. Nearby, a couple sat in a heated discussion, their words carrying across the cafe, reaching the ears of the mysterious homeless man, who seemed lost in his own world. "So, what about the kids? What are we going to do?" the woman asked, her voice laced with concern. The man sighed, his frustration palpable. "I don't know. You tell me. In fact, I want nothing more to do with this. You go your way. I'm going my own." The woman's voice trembled with hurt. "If that's what you want, I just hope your new girlfriend in New York doesn't leave you too." The man's frustration mounted. "I don't want to fight, okay? We've been at it for 5 years. Tears welled in the woman's eyes. "I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? Running off with my best friend?" The man stood, his expression resolute. "Tell the kids I love them. I'll call once I'm settled." The woman's anger flared. "You just said you didn't want anything to do with them. What kind of man does that?" He replied, his voice steady. "I'm not trying to fight. I'll call the kids when I'm settled." With that, he left abruptly, the woman's eyes brimming with tears. She sat alone, her food forgotten, lost in a mix of sorrow and confusion. muttering to herself, "What am I going to do now? 3 kids, no job, no car," she whispered, her voice barely audible. As she prepared to leave, she bumped into the mysterious homeless man. Startled, she was about to apologize when a sudden calm enveloped her. A sense of peace, long forgotten, washed over her, and a phrase echoed in her mind. "Let not your heart be troubled." Whispering to herself, "Let not your heart be troubled," she repeated it, each utterance strengthening her resolve. As she stepped out of the cafe, the burdens that weighed her down seemed lighter. Her spirit renewed, as if the brief encounter with the mysterious man ignited a spark of hope within her. The story of the mysterious homeless man, a Christ-like figure with a supernatural spiritual effect on those around him, continued to unfold in the park and the bustling cafe. His presence, though silent and unassuming, brought about transformations and awakenings, touching lives in ways that defied explanation. In a world often harsh and unforgiving, his mere existence served as a reminder of the power of kindness, hope, and the enduring human spirit. Chapter 3: Encounter with the Unknown.